Hey, what's up you guys? It's Simon. Welcome back to my channel. So before we get into today's video, I just wanted to mention a little tidbit that I thought was really funny and ironic. I believe it was last week's video, or maybe it was the week before, I mentioned that I had my windows open because the weather was so beautiful and so nice. I thought that we were possibly going into the beginning of spring, but I was so very wrong. I was so wrong. So wrong. I think I might have spoken a little too soon in that video when I said that I was sick of winter. I most certainly am, don't get me wrong. However, I think nature perhaps heard that and decided to come around and bite me in the ass, because ever since filming this video, it has snowed and then melted and then snowed and then melted, and now it's snowing again, which it is poetic irony, because I adamantly believed that it was not going to snow, and it has done nothing but since. So anyways, something that I say in nearly every video, I don't know how you guys put up with me. Let us move on into the main topic. So today's video is really fun for me because as I was going through some old photos, I found what I think is quite literally, I think, the first OC that I had ever created. I don't necessarily count her as my first OC just because I never actually did anything with her. I never wrote her a story. I didn't even draw her again after this initial image, but it was the first time that I had ever sat down, drew a character, named them, and even written a short little synopsis of what their story would become had I created one, which is why I think I'd still sort of count her as my first OC. Her name was Lena, and I'm approximately 93% certain that she was named after the love interest in the Beautiful Creatures series. Do not tell me if those books are considered bad now, because at the time I loved them a lot. I have not reread them. I'm 22 now. I don't know how they hold up, but anyways, I will go ahead and insert Lena's baby photo right here. Isn't that just interesting? In my defense, this was back in 2009 and webcams were something else back then. I could barely make out the image due to the practically negative amount of pixels here, but I had a good enough memory of her in my mind that I knew I wanted to come back and redraw her, what I believe is now 13 years later, and it is so... It is insane to me to think that this drawing is now older than I was when I drew it at the time. That's insane. Anyways, I also have this one redraw that I tend to go back to and have quite a few times before, ironically enough, considering that it was also one of the first things that I ever posted to this YouTube channel. It's way back, it's like 3 years old. I will put it in the iCard here because I think that's really interesting, but it was also among the first serious drawings that I had ever done around the same time period I think that I had drawn Lena. I'll scrap. I will slap those along with his iterations. Why can I not speak today? Anyways, here's him. But the difference between this off-brand Sasuke and Lena is that this guy over here has visual elements that make his piece interesting and allow him to stand out on his own. We've got these vibrant colors and a lot of movement going on in his hair, so there's visual interest that kind of guides your eye along the piece. But with Lena, her expression and her hairstyle and her color palette even are so simple that I felt like I had to create a story for her and give her something, just something to give her a little bit more interest. So sometimes having a simple character design is good because it allows the viewer or reader or whatever, depending on the type of media they're consuming, to project themselves onto the main character. However, sometimes when you start off with a character that is so bare bones, it becomes almost impossible to decide what their story might become. When I designed Lena, I had originally intended for her to be a side character in the Naruto-verse, something that I clearly wanted to stray away from for this video. I don't intend to use Lena for any webcomics or anything in the future, so I technically didn't need to make this change. I could have just made a Naruto OC and made things much easier for myself, but instead I wanted to give myself a little bit more of a challenge to make something more creative than just brunette girl with a ponytail who just so happens to be some random side character ninja. She needed a personality, and 10-year-old me most certainly did not give her one. So I got to work trying to make a simple story that I could fit within the time frame of one video. Yay! As you guys might already know, storytelling is not my strong suit. I've said for years that I have wanted to create a webcomic, but the biggest thing stopping me is the giant roadblock that is creative writing. I have never been good at making stories for characters that aren't either fan fiction or heavily inspired by other media that I consume. Hence why Lena is named Lena, and why her main story is that she's a Naruto side character. So when it came to coming up with a story for her, I had a lot of trouble. My first attempt at creating her story came in the form of a little website called Short Story Generator, but after clicking a few buttons and autofilling some adjectives that I thought were vaguely interesting, I realized that this probably wasn't going to get me in the direction that I wanted to go in. Then I tried to move on to another website, Character Generator, which gave me quite a few more options. And while the characters they generated were certainly interesting and definitely would provide some inspo for a better writer, I think things were just a bit too random for me to be able to work with for Lena, which meant it was back to square one. I had to sit and think, what is the only thing that I know about this character? And that was her name. So for obvious reasons, I didn't want to change her name or really her appearance either, because then it wouldn't necessarily be a redraw if I changed pretty much every element of her character. So instead, I decided to take inspiration from her name and find out what it meant. A quick Google search led me to the conclusion that the name Lena has Russian origin and that it means ray of light. I don't know how true that is, considering I'm not Russian, so if anyone wants to confirm or deny that, let me know, but ray of light was definitely interesting enough that it gave me a little bit more to work with. Was she herself the ray of light? Did she have some sort of power that allowed her to control light? Was that just her personality? I didn't know just yet. However, as I was thinking about it, one theme did stick in my head, and that was the idea of her being a gardener, because, you know, outside, garden, sunshine, ray of light, sunshine produces those. I don't know, but I thought it was really cute, and both simple enough to go along with her design, as well as make a cute short character synopsis for this video, which means we are finally here. It has been quite a wild ride. Let me tell you, this is like my 20th take of filming this video. Quick sidebar. I have filmed this voiceover so many times. The first time I filmed it, I thought I had a perfect take. I normally, as you guys can tell by the amount of times that I stutter and stumble throughout this video, and all of my other videos, quite frankly, it's kind of hard for me to talk sometimes. And so getting through a voiceover under 30 minutes, it has now been nearly 3 hours, by the way. It will be 3 hours and approximately 2 minutes. Nearly 3 hours that I've been trying to do this. Getting through it initially in 30 minutes, the first take, was insane for me. And it was really nice. I didn't stumble as often as I normally did. I was able to get my words to come across really well. And then as I finished it, I looked down at the waves and I realized that they were far too short. If you guys don't record voiceovers, essentially, you want your waves to be somewhere around like the middle of the little box that it puts them in. If they're short, it means that your audio is too quiet or that something is wrong with it. If they're too high, obviously it means they're too loud or something is wrong. And because they were short, I decided to replay it and thinking, you know, maybe I'm just whispering. Maybe it's not that bad. Oh god, it was awful. It was so crinkly and crunchy, and I originally attributed it to the snow at the beginning of this video. So I decided to, or at the beginning of this video, the snow that I mentioned, it's snow, in case you forgot. So I'd attributed it to the weather, did another recording thinking like, oh, it won't be that bad, I'll just say it's because it's snowing. I assumed that's what the problem was, but after getting through the script 3 whole entire times, I realized that it was picking up the audio from my laptop and not my mic. I don't know why it was doing that. That's never been an issue before. It was always as simple as plug my mic in, start recording. But for some reason, that was not the case today. So yeah, we're finally here. It was quite the struggle to get here, but now that we are, let me tell you a little bit about Lena. So since Lena has a really simple design, I thought she'd be a simple sort of character as well. I think she'd really like doing things the old-fashioned way, like making her own clothes, trying her hardest to make a sourdough starter that never turns, and of course, since the main focus is her being a gardener, she'd love growing her own herbs and fruits, veggies, things like that. And then refocusing on the fact that her name means ray of light, I also wanted this particular element to be evident in all of the things throughout her character. I wanted to really drive that point home since it was the only thing that gave me inspiration for this video. So, or this video, her story, essentially. I guess that counts as this video. Anyways, starting with her appearance, I wanted to give her all these little yellow accessories like her hairpin, her scrunchie, her gingham top, her little shovel, just little bits of yellow all around, as well as her tan freckly skin, since obviously her being a gardener means that she would be outside a lot. I also wanted to, of course, make this evident in her story as well, considering a lot of gardening involves getting both the plants and herself some good old sunshine. And finally, I wanted to push that through in her personality as well. I wanted Lena to be somebody who's bright, loud, bubbly, clumsy, and just generally somebody who makes people smile. Honestly, okay. When I first set out to make this video, I did not imagine that I would make a character that I genuinely enjoyed. I thought this would be just a simple sort of redraw, one and done kind of thing, but I genuinely like how she turned out to the point where I'm considering giving her a little bit of a redesign, and maybe even taking back what I said earlier about not using her for a webcomic. Don't get too excited though. This is not an announcement video. I'm still not a great storyteller, but who knows, maybe that will change sometime in the future. I really like her character, I think she's adorable, and writing a webcomic is still definitely on my bucket list, but it might be a while before I'm able to check it off. Anyways, that is it for this video, you guys. Thank you for being patient with me through all my rambling, as always. I hope you enjoyed. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to my amazing Patreon supporters, Elise Thompson, Duran, Mandy, Sleeps, Kruhi, Created by Twins, Shannon, and Deson Doodles. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for continuing to support me, my art, and this channel. If you guys want to support me and get a shout out alongside these awesome peeps, as well as cool rewards like digital downloads and physical rewards like stickers and prints, you name it, you can always check the link for my Patreon down in the description alongside all my other social medias. I love you guys so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!